Good morning, and thank you for joining us today as we gather to reiterate our support for the Common Core standards and to emphasize the need for Ohio to stay the course toward their implementation. I'm Kirk Hamilton, Executive Director of the Buckeye Association of School Administrators. Joining me with perspectives for their respective organizations are Rick Lewis, the Executive Director of the Ohio School Boards Association, and David Varda, the Executive Director of the Ohio Association of School Business Officials. We're pleased to have with us today some representatives from the field. Bob Hill, Superintendent for the Firelands Local School District in Lorain County. Steve Thompson, Superintendent for the Willoughby-Eastlake City School District in Lake County. And Eric Germann, Board President for the Lincolnview Local School District in Wert County. You'll hear from them in just a few moments. And you'll hear from them just how important the Common Core standards are to their districts and, more importantly, to their students. Let me begin with a short summary of the history of the Common Core standards and how they were developed. As you know, Ohio has had a long history of excellence in education and in striving for strong primary and secondary education system. We can be proud of our students for the progress we're making. Students have educational opportunities aimed at preparing them for successful careers and opportunities in higher education. However, Ohio leaders, like those in many other states, had become concerned that our learning standards for mathematics and English language arts were not rigorous enough to prepare the students for the future. They saw the need for a set of education standards that would prepare our students for new career expectations that exist as we move into a future that's unknown to all of us. The stakes have changed, and so should the rigor of the standards for what our students should know and be able to do. To meet that challenge, Ohio participated with the National Governors Association, the Council of Chief State School Officers, and achieved to engage in a vital and comprehensive strategy to develop Common Core standards in these subject areas. The idea was that together the most appropriate and effective standards could be developed for use by any state, with the goal of preparing students for college and the careers of their future. States' adoption of the standards would be optional, and strategies and methods for meeting the standards would be driven locally. It should be noted that the 128th General Assembly enacted Ohio Revised Code Section 330.079, which required the State Board of Education to adopt revised standards for English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies by June 30, 2010. The State Superintendent of Public Instruction presented the revised standards to the General Assembly's House and Senate Education Committees in May of 2010. The Ohio Department of Education held 5 regional public awareness and input meetings across the state with more than 500 citizens in attendance. Finally, in June 2010, Ohio State Board of Education unanimously adopted the Common Core standards, and school districts began preparing for their implementation. The Ohio Department of Education then held another round of public regional meetings to share the newly adopted standards. As you hear from our local school leaders in just a few moments, the implementation of the Common Core standards has been challenging. But in spite of the difficulty experienced as with any kind of change in standards, in this case, the end result will be good for kids and good for Ohio. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Bob Hill, Superintendent at Firelands Local School District, to share his experiences with you today.